Welcome to the InfoWars Nightly News. I'm David Knight. It's Monday, January 25th, 2016. Here are our top stories.
Tonight, the winner of the Make Fun of Hillary contest. And would you want this man to be your next president?
In the spirit of gun control, will you disarm your entire security team?
You will get right back to you.
You'll get back to me? Would you like a sip of my soda?
Mayor Michael Bloomberg threatens to throw his hat in the ring. That's next.
We've got the jump on you. We know what you're up to, and we're fully aware of your garbage. Now, you thought you just poison us with fluoride vaccines and stun us, and then you can still take us over. You are falling. You are rotting. You are ugly. You are stupid. You are bad. You are pathetic. You will fail. Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water, pairing the unprecedented superfiltration power of an all-new gravity block core with a hybrid chromatic shell. It removes up to 99.999% of impurities, including bacteria, viruses, fluoride, disinfectants, volatile organic contaminants, and hormones. Filter capacity up to 5,000 gallons. Stainless steel construction, easy assembly, low maintenance. Replacement filters are simple to install. And now, as part of an exclusive limited time introductory offer, you can save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
There was a lot of buzz this weekend about Michael Bloomberg possibly entering to the presidential race as an independent. I want to take a look at this and ask, what does his entry tell us about a couple of things? Number one, about the global elitist cabal that we've just seen meeting in Davos. Also, what does it tell us about our corrupt, gamed system? Why is he getting in? Well, first of all, he says he would get in if Hilary Clinton doesn't make it. They're concerned that Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump don't take orders from this globalist elite cabal that we see in Davos. And so they want to make sure that they've got somebody. Typically, they like to have both candidates be someone that they've met with previously, that they have an understanding with before the election, that will do their bidding. They always can try to do that after the election. We always have to be concerned that our candidates will cave into that. Not be their own man, not operate in the interest of the American people, but they want to make sure there's somebody there ahead of time. That tells us something about Hillary Clinton, doesn't it? It tells us that Hillary Clinton is their woman, the one they would like to have in, the one that they feel comfortable that they can control things with. If Hillary Clinton doesn't make it in the primaries, if she's indicted for criminal actions, as she should be, then we have Michael Bloomberg waiting in the wings. And we're going to take a look at what it would take for him to be an independent candidate and how they have rigged that process as well. But first, let's take a quick look at Davos. It just wrapped up. And as we see on RT, the headline says Davos is the problem and not the solution. They talk about the fact that we have problems of mass unemployment, an ever-widening gap between rich and poor, the biggest refugee crisis since World War II. Where does that come from? It comes from the very people who are meeting at Davos. As one person tweeted out, Harry Leslie Smith, quoted in this article, says, "The world is in a bad way, from wars, global refugee crisis to economic mayhem. But no one at the Davos 2016 apologized for their leadership over it." And they go on to point out the World Economic Forum says it is committed to improving the state of the world, but the reality is that the world is in much worse shape than it was when it was created in 1971. They like to talk about stakeholder theory, global public interest, and it really is an elite-friendly economic order. Think about the fact they talk about stakeholders all the time. Whenever you see them talking about stakeholders, whether they're talking about it with climate treaties or whether they're talking about it with trade treaties, is always the stakeholders who are the ones who are meeting in the private rooms, creating the documents, and then handing it off to the so-called elected representatives of us to rubber stamp and enact. It's those stakeholders that put everything together because they don't believe that you and I have a stake in the future. And if we don't understand what's going on, we won't have a stake in the future. It'll be people at Davos, people like George Soros, people like Bill Gates, Tony Blair, and of course, Eric Cantor. Eric Cantor, you know, the guy who was primaried out because of the way he sold out the Republican Party. He lost the primary. He was the number 2 guy in the House, second only to Boehner, and he lost his primary. That was pretty much unprecedented. It was something that hadn't happened for, I think it was well over 100 years. Nevertheless, he's at Davos talking about the consequences of Donald Trump. We covered this article last week. It was from Bloomberg Business, interestingly enough. The headline was, "The Specter of Donald Trump Haunts Davos." And they say Trump and the White House is ratcheting up anxiety among the 2,500 business and political leaders gathered at the Swiss ski resort for the annual World Economic Forum. And then they quote Eric Cantor, who says, "Unfortunately, I do think that if there were to be a Trump administration, the casualty would likely be trade." See, they want to push through the Trans-Pacific Transatlantic Partnership agreements because creating this trade bloc is the necessary step for them to create a political consolidation. And so that's what they're concerned about. And again, it's not to say that I don't support Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump. It's not to say that they're good guys. They're the enemy of my enemy, so you could say that we could support them for that reason. Nevertheless, they are very concerned that these people are not going to toe the line, not going to do precisely what they want in terms of open borders, in terms of exporting our jobs, in terms of destroying the country economically. And that's what Donald Trump has risen up to oppose. Now, Bloomberg, they say, sensing an opening, revisits a potential White House run. This is the story that came out this last weekend. They say his advisors and associates say that he was galled by Donald Trump's dominance of the Republican field, troubled by Hilary Clinton's stumbles, and by the rise of Senator Bernie Sanders on the Democrat side. They say Bloomberg, who's 73, has indicated to friends and allies that he'd be willing to spend at least $1 billion of his fortune on it. He's retained a consultant to help him explore getting his name on the ballots. And his aides have done a detailed study of past third-party bids. And we're going to take a look at some past third-party bids. What does it take to get into the debates? What does it take to, how did they game the system? But before we do, quickly, what Hillary is saying, as her reaction to it was, well, I've got it covered. They say that he only says he's going to consider running if Hillary Clinton doesn't make the cut. This is what she had to say.
And Michael Bloomberg, your reaction to his potential candidacy?
He's a good friend of mine, and I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that I get the nomination, and we'll go from there.
So you're not worried about him getting in?
Well, the way I read what he said is if I didn't get the nomination, he might consider it. Well, I'm going to relieve him of that and get the nomination, so he doesn't have to.
And of course, he has set a March deadline to determine whether or not he's going to jump in. Why March? Well, we have the Iowa, the New Hampshire, and the South Carolina primaries and caucuses. Then we have Super Tuesday, the very beginning of March. By that time, it'll be clear whether or not Hillary is losing to Bernie Sanders. It'll also be clearer whether or not she's going to be indicted for her crimes or not. When we look at the process of getting on the ballot as an independent, that also plays into this. The earliest possible state that he has to make ballot access would be South Dakota, not a large state. That is the end of April. He would have to get signatures through to that. But if you look at the requirement and the timing for this, most of the states have a deadline that falls in August and September. So he can get in quite late and still get into most of those. But let's take a look at whether or not the debates unfairly shut out third parties. Because as we see this talk of Michael Bloomberg getting in, preceding that, we saw a lot of chatter about how the debate commission was going to take a look at a serious independent candidate being included in the debates. And that would be pretty much unprecedented for a couple of decades. The last candidate that we had that was included, of course, was Ross Perot in 1992. He was excluded in 1996 when he ran the second time because of the rules of the Presidential Debate Commission. So let's take a look at this. This is an article going back to 2012. And of course, we look at this every time this comes up because it is glaringly unfair the way they control the debate process. As they point out, CBS says the presidential and vice presidential debates are sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. It is a non-profit corporation that mandates that a candidate have at least 15%. Remember that, 15% support in national polls to participate. Since this Commission on Presidential Debates took over running the debates in 1988, only once has a third-party candidate been allowed to participate in 1992, when Ross Perot joined Bill Clinton and George H.W. Bush on the stage. It looks like it's doing what it was designed to do, and it does it very well. It keeps everybody off except for the Republicans and the Democrats. And of course, if you go back and look at the history of this, you see that it was John Anderson who gave everybody a scare in 1980. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. The author of a book called No Debate, How the Republican and Democrat Parties Secretly Control the Presidential Debates, that's George Farrell who wrote that, said that the 15% criteria is absurdly high. Of course it is, noting that candidates who reach 5% support qualify for public funding if they reach that in past elections. Think about that. The government says, we will give you support because you're a serious candidate if you get to 5%. And yet the debate commission says you have to get to 15%. And he points out third parties have played a vital role in the past in our histories. Of course, we had three parties up until the Civil War. After the Civil War, they shut that down. They made sure that no other third party would come in. They set up a duopoly. Actually, it was really a monopoly by the Republican Party for many, many decades. No Democrats got elected. And when you look at the history of presidential debates, of course, there was the famous one with John F. Kennedy and Richard Nixon in 1960. Interestingly enough, there wasn't another one until 1976, and that was held by the League of Women Voters. They pretty much were, I think, a lot fairer in terms of their inclusion. In the 1980 presidential race, of course, that was Jimmy Carter, Ronald Reagan, and John Anderson was the independent. Jimmy Carter strongly opposed the inclusion of independent candidate John Anderson. Anderson had polled as high as 26%, but of course, Jimmy Carter didn't want him on simply because of that, because he had high support. And so what he did was he boycotted the debate by the League of Women Voters, leaving John Anderson to debate Ronald Reagan by himself. In 1984, as Reagan was running for re-election, the League of Women Voters held a press conference. They lambasted Reagan and Walter Mondale, the Democrat running against him at that point in time, for rejecting dozens of potential debate moderators. And then after that, the Republicans and Democrats said, this is enough. We're not going to have anything like the League of Women Voters running this. We're going to run it ourselves. And so they set up this commission, and they justify it with the crowded ballot fallacy. This is a Newton minnow. A great name for somebody, small fish in a big pond. A member of the CPD, former chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, he said that this threshold keeps the debates from becoming a free-for-all. He said, there are 410 candidates. Let me repeat that, 410 candidates that are registered with the Federal Election Commission. No, look, the crowded ballot would not happen. Simply put, if you look at all of the candidates in the last election who qualified, who were mathematically capable because they were on enough ballots of winning the presidency, you would have had not 410, but 4. You would have also included Gary Johnson and the Green candidate party. You would have had 4 candidates there in addition to Barack Obama and what was that guy's name? Oh, that guy Romney. That's his name, right? That's all you would have had in the last debate. As a matter of fact, they point out that it would not have been that crowded. If you had taken a look at people who had, if he made it a little bit narrow and said 5% support, you would have had Ross Perot would have participated in the debates in 1996 and as well as 1992. He's excluded. You would have had Ralph Nader and Pat Buchanan in 2000, and that's basically it. Why can't we have that kind of a choice? Well, we can't have that kind of a choice because the political establishment and the media establishment collude together to shut that down. Look at this article from The Atlantic. Just consider the headline, Fox Business winnows the field. This was for the debate that was held in December. Fox Business winnows the field. Why should they be allowed to winnow the field? And of course, if we look at the qualifications that they had to be included in the debate, they're far less than 15%. They looked at 4 national polls. Any candidate who averaged just 2.5% or higher made the primetime cut. CNN's debate 2 weeks earlier allowed for candidates who polled 3.5% or higher, or 4% or higher in Iowa or New Hampshire. Look, we have an interest in knowing who these people are. We should have a free and open discussion. We shouldn't allow Fox News to determine how many candidates we're going to have in the debate. We shouldn't allow the Republicans and the Democrats to shut everybody else out of the debate. We need to have an open discussion of this. And when you go back and you look at the struggles that even Ross Perot had, remember, he was very high in the polls in 1992. He had, at one point, was in first place before he dropped out in July. And then he came back in October. He still met the 15%. But then when we came back in 1996, his support wasn't as high. He sued, and the FCC basically shut him down. You even had a maneuver where they complained that he needed to have a right to equal time on TV. And that certainly is the case. Okay, but they shut that down as well. Now we have the situation earlier this year where third-party candidates got together and they sued the commission. They sued the Federal Election Commission and the Commission on Presidential Debates. That has been shut down. They're going to continue to do it exactly the way they want. And now that they have Michael Bloomberg in, look at them to adjust the rules to suit their purposes, even adjusting the polls to make sure that Bloomberg shows up highly in those polls. Because remember, Rand Paul was excluded from the last debate because of a Bloomberg poll. Bloomberg's company had there were three polls that finished on a Sunday. The other two published on a Monday. Bloomberg embargoed that poll for 36 hours, and Fox News said, well, our hands are tied. By our standard, he cannot be included. And that's the way they play the game. That's the way they rig the game. And we can see that now we've got Michael Bloomberg coming in. We see Rupert Murdoch, the very same company that is winnowing the field, had said this back in August. He said, with Trump becoming a very serious candidate, it's time for the next billionaire candidate, Michael Bloomberg, to step into the ring, the greatest mayor. And then he went on to say, he's a great philanthropic executive who, with Giuliani, made New York the greatest. So if the guy who owns Fox News, the people who are allowed to winnow the field, likes you, I'm sure they'll find a way to include him in the polls. If not, then they will exclude him. That's the way the game is played, and it should tell us that the elites are very scared of what's going on. We'll be right back.
I'm running for president. Everyday Americans need a champion, and I want to be that champion. I'm hitting the road to earn your vote, and I hope you'll join me on this journey.
This is an American president. Just add puppet, then vote and repeat every 4 years.
Shane Steiner's involvement with InfoWarsLife.com truly happened in an organic way. I went to high school with Shane. His brother knew his parents well, and he was visiting the office once, hadn't been to the office in years, and said, wow, I notice you're making and selling supplements. Do these really work? Because I've tried a lot of supplements as a workout enthusiast, and I really think most of them are hype. And I said, here, take some home, try it. Well, a few weeks later, he came in blown away and said, I want to buy 3 boxes of this stuff to give my friends and family. It's simply amazing. He said, why does it work so well? And I said, listen, go to InfoWarsLife.com, watch the informational videos with Dr. Group and others. They understand how it all works. I know that it works for me. That's all I understand. The science, the facts, the research, people's testimonials, they're all on InfoWarsLife.com. You can check it out for yourself.
I wanted to go to the gym. I wanted to push myself and work out harder. And that led to me being able to come out and do stuff like the barefooting and the surfing and stuff like that, which I've never done. I never would have done that 2 years ago.
Shane has said over and over again, more than just libido and energy, it made him want to get into the gym more. It made him want to get in better shape. And believe me, the Steiners have amazing genetics. His brother is a world champion steer wrestler. His dad, Bobby Steiner, is a famous world champion bull rider. They've got natural genetics. But when you added this to the mix, in Shane's own words, it took him to the next level. Shane noticed the mental clarity. Bobby was able to work out longer and gain muscle mass. He's already completely shredded. I gotta admit, for me, the biggest effect has been libido. Now, I've never claimed to have a body like some beach model, but back when I was 20, 22 years old and worked out every day, I looked great. But over the years, and being married, having 3 kids, working 18 hours a day, I gained basically 100 pounds. And it's been a long process losing that weight in the last 4 years. But if you look at the photos and the videos of what I looked like 4 or 5 years ago versus today, the results are dramatic. I'd already cleaned up my diet, I was working out hard, but I'd only lost about 20 pounds. It was adding the other key ingredients from InfoWarsLife.com that helped me personally go to the next level and shed another 35 pounds.
This has actually made me feel so good that here lately, about a year ago, I started training jiu-jitsu, and that kind of led to doing some boxing and kickboxing. I mean, it's amazing that 2 years ago, I was on the couch and couldn't even tie my shoes, and now I'm training with MMA fighters and just doing stuff that I never thought that I would be doing ever again. So Super Male Vitality has allowed me to do some amazing things, and if it has those kind of effects for me, I know that it will do great things for you. So just try Super Male Vitality. I promise you, you'll love it.
And finally, let's look at Anthony Gucciardi, Infowars.com reporter. He also works with Dr. Group and others, helping develop the newest, most cutting-edge, high-quality supplements. Let's take a look at what happened when he tried to barefoot ski for the first time with the Steiners. And remember, we're not making fun of him. He had the will to get in the arena, and he's lost more than 10 pounds in the last few years of fat and gained more than 10 pounds of muscle. And Anthony chalks it up to Super Male Vitality as well. Bottom line, folks, you want to discover the power of Super Male Vitality and Super Female Vitality for yourself by visiting InfoWarsLife.com today or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139. Now we go to Richard Reeves, who's on the road covering campaign 2016. Longtime political correspondent Richard Reeves. Richard, tell us exactly where you are via video Skype right now and what you notice going into the warren of the Gollum ghoul-like servants of Hillary's beard, Hillary's fake competition to make her look less radical, Bernie Sanders.
Alex, I am in Iowa City, Iowa, and it's very exciting, though, to see. You know, you're correct about Bernie Sanders, absolutely spot on target about Bernie Sanders, but you know what? Bernie Sanders has a chance to take Hilary Clinton down in this primary election season where she can't even get the national nominee for the Democrats.
That's right. She's so unpopular. She's so unpopular in the Drudge poll. He got like 28%, and she got 0.88, which is figurative for her to say Heil Hitler, because that's the kind of woman she is. So I guess that's her number. But expanding on that, it's just amazing. So break it down, the numbers. You got a big guest coming in later in the week to break down the demographics, how we can defeat them and get Donald Trump in.
Well, I've been saying since early December, this is Donald Trump's election to lose. Now it's time for him to really win. I think if I were Donald Trump, I would be exposing Hillary some more about her predatory habits against women and against children, and I would also expose eugenics. I tell you what, you've been talking about it all day on today's broadcast. That is one truth that Donald Trump has not touched upon yet. Planned Parenthood is not about women's health. Planned Parenthood is about eugenics. Talk about swinging female votes. Talk about swinging minorities. That's how Donald Trump can do it. Donald Trump, I'm asking you, get out there, talk about Planned Parenthood. Talk about that it's a eugenics program. Talk about Margaret Sanger being a eugenics proponent. Talk about Hillary Clinton following up and being right in Margaret Sanger in the New World Order's pocket and pushing eugenics, whether it be fluoride and lead in the water or Planned Parenthood, or all those different things you laid out earlier today in the broadcast, Alex.
Absolutely. Now, let's get into the demographics, the numbers, what we're seeing with Sanders, what you saw at the cult event. Can this cultist, more honest about his communism, defeat the larger CIA rat that is Hillary?
Well, that's one of the beautiful things about the New World Order is they've built this enemy of communism and socialism here with their liberal education system, the public schools that are a disaster, the colleges that are liberal campuses of disaster. Well, you know what? They've built themselves a new enemy because they're about to take down Hillary Clinton, their establishment candidate, their Bilderberg pick. Okay? So Bernie Sanders got 2,000 people to about 4 or 5 different events yesterday in total. He's had 50,000 people turn up for him in Iowa at his events. And he had, if I remember correctly, over 2 million individual donors with an average of $27 a piece. So he's got a war chest. He's got a $54 million war chest. So that means he can go on beyond Iowa. That means he can go beyond New Hampshire. And it's not because I'm excited about seeing him win. I'm excited about seeing him take Hillary down, and let's get the witch done with.
Imagine folks walking by on the street and seeing a reporter yell and scream. That's what it's all about. Wearing our open bias to tell the truth and fight as America's being destroyed to save the country. Richard Reeves. Now, calming down a bit, Richard, as you stand out there in the misty rain, you're doing a great job. Let's go over some of the demographics. I mean, he really is beating her in most polls. They're trying to suppress that. I really expect, if he's not a total ringer, because he played nice with her for a long time until she attacked him, that, you know, he's not Obama Part 2, the heir apparent. I really think that, you know, they'll blow his airplane up, they'll kill him or something. He doesn't really have any, you know, skeletons so far that have come out. Well, what's the intel? I mean, do you think Sanders is for real, or is he just a total shill for Hillary?
No, I think he's for real. I think he is who he is, and I got to hand it to him. He's a hard worker. He's getting these mind zombie socialist bots that the New World Order's created. He's getting them to show up his events. Normally, they would be lining up for a Harry Potter movie, but instead they're lining up for him.
You're right. They are really stupid, waddling, soft, dumb morons. Sorry, go ahead.
But the good news is, look, they're awake about certain financial aspects of the New World Order. I think with Donald Trump out there, he will be able to judo that support to himself in the upcoming general election. I think he, you know, when Bernie goes by the wayside, or if he wins the National Democrat nomination, I think Donald Trump wipes the floor with Bernie Sanders. But in the meantime, if Hillary goes down, we'll not shed a tear. Absolutely not. So the numbers are, more encouraging, great news. A poll came out yesterday. Alex, I'm telling you, you've worked decades about this. I've worked decades about this. This is so exciting to see. They had a poll come out. Fox quoted it. I don't know which poll it was. Donald Trump, 39% in Iowa. Ted Cruz, 34% in Iowa. That's 73%. If you add up Carson, Cruz, Fiorina, Rand Paul, the other outside candidates, if you add them all up, that's got to be 80% now ready to flush incumbents down the toilet, Alex.
Absolutely. They think the Republicans can win 47 states, top analysts. They are scared to death. And I tell you, if Trump is a shill, no one will forgive him. He will have nowhere he can go if he isn't for real. But I've talked to so many people on and off air, I'll leave it at that. If Trump isn't for real, he's the greatest actor I've ever talked to. And I'm just going to leave it at that. But obviously the media is listening, and I don't care what the enemies know. You know, but the point is, Trump, there's a stack of articles today saying Trump, X-Files, Alex Jones, he's a nut. You know, he's this and that. You know, they're really getting it. But the point is, Trump's smart enough to want the Patriot base. That's the base. That's the winning team. You know, it's much bigger than the 13% black vote that puts the Democrats in every time. So that's the third rail, is the original Americana patriots of every race, color, and creed. Trump knows that. But, man, I'm telling you, all the money they're putting against him, they're not doing that for show, okay? And they're not talking about that in the media. So that shows he's real for whatever reason. They do not want him in. So this is an epic battle. All these people want to watch NFL football all day. Hey, forget that. This is the true blood sport. This is the true gladiatorial event right here, but it's for real marbles.
That's right, Alex. Think about this. If you were Donald Trump, you're at a point in your life, you're at a point on this planet where you can be the biggest modern-day Benedict Arnold in history, or you can be the biggest George Washington in modern-day history. What choice would you make, Alex? It's a simple choice. You got to be the George Washington. You got to choose George Washington. So Donald Trump...
That's right. We choose George Washington.
That's right. And I think Donald Trump's going to choose it. Listen, if I were Donald Trump, I'll tell you exactly what I'd do right now to win this race. Number one, I would reach across the aisle to Ted Cruz right now, and I would say, look, Ted Cruz, you have been hated in Washington, but you know what? That is a badge of honor. I love you for it, brother. I understand why you took out a loan at Goldman Sachs. I understand why you did a Citibank loan, because if you hadn't have done that, Lieutenant Governor David Dewhurst, Texas, would be the senator right now.
And he's the really bad guy.
Ted Cruz.
Yeah,
That's right, really bad news. So I forgive Ted Cruz for that. And on top of that, it was a loan. It wasn't big speaking fees like Hilary Clinton had from Goldman Sachs. $600,000.
Well, let's expand on that. I mean, you take a loan wherever you can. The point is, let's expand on all that It's the biggest bank out there where he's supposed to get the loan. The point is that Cruz, I think, overall is for real. He's voted good, but he's smarter politically, I think, than Rand Paul, and I'm not knocking Rand Paul, but what is he doing attacking Trump viciously? That's going to make him go down in the polls. Where are they coming up with this?
Well, you know, we've had Rand Paul red flags for a few years now, and I want to love Rand Paul, and I still love Rand Paul. That's just like we want to love Glenn Beck. But you know what? The red flags have come out right in the middle of the Texas State Convention in 2012 when your dad is still running for president. You came out and endorsed Mitt Romney in the middle of the Texas State Convention where your dad is speaking, you know, and now he's doing this, you know, acting like an establishment party hack. You know what, Rand Paul, here's the thing. Like Alex said earlier, why aren't you attacking Obama? Why aren't you talking about the fact that 80% of the people might vote out their incumbents today? You know what? If we vote out all these sorry incumbents, and if we vote in some great House members, brand new House members, brand new Senate members, shake the tree, shake the Washington tree, then you know what? We can withstand a bad president.
And I've forgotten when he didn't endorse his dad. Well, why do you think he called me up and wanted to come on the show 2 weeks ago? Because I want to be friends with the Senator Paul. I want him to win his Kentucky seat, but he's acting so establishment now, he could lose that.
We need all the friends in the Senate we can get. We need all the friends in the House we can get. Why he's doing that is just beyond comprehension. He obviously is not listening to this show. I don't know who he's listening to. Rand Paul, whoever it is you've been listening to, Alex has said it, turn them off, fire them, get them out the door. You know, you need to be like Donald Trump right here and say you're fired to probably about half your staff.
Well, Rand's out of it right now, so it doesn't really even matter. I just, whatever. I mean, the truth's the truth, and, you know, it is what it is, and all I know is he's been betting on Trump falling, and it didn't happen, and we need him in the Senate. He helped beat the gun grab bills. Rand Paul's a great guy. He is good. He's done good work, and Richard, we're going to continue to track this with you out there as we accelerate towards 7 days till the key caucuses. We will talk to you again very, very soon.
You guys have the exclusive for, which is a product called Deep Cleanse. And why I'm so excited about it is it's a unique formula, almost like the iodine crystals. We have 2 unique products that nobody in the world has. One of the most amazing ingredients in the world, and it's called Shilajit, and it's actually known as blood of the mountain or rock sweat because thousands of years ago, as a matter of fact, this ingredient was only given to the elite of the elite. Thousands of years ago up in the Himalayan mountains and in Tibet.
And we wanted to put this in stuff for a couple years, but we couldn't get an organic form.
Right. I mean,
so let's explain. I mean, this stuff's so good, we couldn't put it out for years.
Right. So I had to actually, it's kind of like the iodine crystals, finding a source deep in the earth that we could get the cleanest source available. But in Tibet and in Nepal and in the Himalayan mountains, thousands of years ago, they watched these monkeys. And during the summer months, the monkeys would go up into the mountains.
Now you're being racist against monkeys.
And they would pick this black substance from the mountains. And so in Russia, they actually, it grows in Russia in the mountains and in the Himalayas and only in the summer. And Shilajit is actually the decomposition of up to 7,000 different medicinal herbs. So it decomposes, all these different herbs decompose in the Himalayan mountains and the volcanic soil up there. And what happens in the summertime...
So it's almost like an oil from...
Yes, it's high in fulvic acid, it's high in humic acid.
Because they're always claiming oil is really from decomposed animals and plants. There is some oil that is based from fossils, but most of it's really abiotic. But so this is a true fossil source? I mean, explain it to me.
It is, it's really the decomposition, like I said, of over 7,000 different medicinal herbs and plants. And with the rocks and the pressure deep in the mountains, it freezes and during the summertime and the pressures build it up.
It oozes out.
It oozes out. So it literally oozes out of the mountain.
It's like rock sap.
It's like rock sap. It's black, and it's highly nutritious. Even in the 1980s, when the Olympic athletes in Russia were accused of being on steroids, they found out that they were actually been given Shilajit because it works as an anabolic as well. and it builds muscles. It's a big dose in there. The second big main ingredient in there is a volcanic zeolite concentrate. And what this formula is designed to do, the shilajit and the zeolites have a real strong negative charge. All the metals and chemicals and PCBs and VOCs have positive charges. So these go in, they grab it, and then they safely eliminate it through the body so you can become healthy. I mean, this is an amazing formula. I wish I actually had it, but because this was an exclusive InfoWars Life product, you're the only one in the world that has this formula now. And you know, there is going to be a limited supply available when you sell out because you can only harvest this once a year.
How do people take it? How is it recommended that this be done? Just a daily dose?
Yeah, daily dose. The instructions are on the label. You know, of course, I kind of modify it for each individual. It depends on what your lifestyle is. I mean, honestly, the best thing to do is for you to avoid all these chemicals and toxins in your environment and try to identify them and start slowly reducing them. But personally, I'm going to probably take it every day, every other day, and I'll probably go with about a dropper full to maybe 2 dropper fulls. And I don't expose myself to any chemicals.
InfoWarsLife.com. Please also support our local AM and FM affiliates, support their local sponsors or become a sponsor, and spread the word. Because these aren't just great products. This is how we fund this independent operation. We're not taxpayer funded like MSNBC or NPR, and neither is your local station. So support them, folks. This is a war.
Welcome back. Joining me now is Leanne McAdoo. We're going to be looking at some breaking news, not only about Hillary Clinton, but first about Planned Parenthood. It's an amazing story that's just come out that Planned Parenthood is coming after the film investigators in Houston. Of course, we've seen things in Houston before where the mayor, whose significant other has been a high-ranking official in Planned Parenthood there. We've also had situations where they've tried to intimidate local churches, demanding that they turn in their sermons. And now they're coming after the investigators who did the secret filming of Planned Parenthood.
Absolutely. So this is, updated as of 5 p.m. today. And this is a Harris County grand jury. They're going to indict the pair who were behind the Planned Parenthood videos. So this is a 2-month investigation they were working on. They were looking into the allegations that Planned Parenthood clinic there in Houston illegally sold the tissue of aborted fetuses. Well, now they've cleared the organization, and instead they're going to indict the secret videographers David Daleiden and Sandra Merritt.
For what?
So they've been, right. They've been indicted on charges of tampering with a governmental record, which is a second-degree felony, could be punishable up to 20 years in prison. And then Daleiden received an additional misdemeanor indictment under the law, which prohibits the purchase and sale of human organs.
Tampering with a governmental record. Do you have any information as to specifics about that?
Well, that, I believe, is they said that they went a little too far in trying to create this identity, falsifying documents, IDs. Also, they set up an entire website to be this fake tissue procurement company in an effort to gain access to the private areas.
And of course, the government does this all the time.
Right.
I talked to Doug Hagman of Hagman & Hagman. He's an advisor to people doing special investigations. He's been a private investigator himself. And he said, this is one of the most common techniques that law enforcement has. It is not entrapment if you have reasonable cause to believe that something criminal is happening, to set up a false identity, to do an undercover investigation. The government does this all of the time. They just have to have probable cause to do that. That's what these people were doing. They were conducting an investigation. And clearly, I don't believe that they are cleared of this information. This is a technique to shoot the messenger and let the other people go. Just like we see people doing with Ed Snowden, saying he's a traitor, throw him in jail, don't listen to him. Don't, these are not the droids you're looking for, look away.
Or people in Congress saying, oh, the videos are fake, they're altered, and then they admit later they didn't even actually watch the videos. Yeah. So they're just going there hoping that no one has watched them. We've seen the videos, and they've also released the full videos unedited.
And you had people who were protesting this in Louisiana. Governor Bobby Jindal, to the people that were there at the state capitol, what he did was he took the videos in their entirety, projected them for the protesters to watch, since obviously they hadn't watched them. Anybody who watches these videos has to be disturbed about the way Planned Parenthood is talking, about how they're talking about how they can get around the regulations, how they can make this work, make money. I want to make money for you selling me this tissue and so forth and so on. And we can make sure that we get exactly what you want. Tell us what you want, and we'll make sure that we procure this for you. It's very troubling.
And if they weren't doing anything wrong, because they admit, oh, we didn't do anything wrong, but we're going to stop getting profit for selling this fetal tissue.
Yeah.
So they say they've now stopped that practice. So it's just another case of people having friends in high places. Obviously, the daughter of the Planned Parenthood director is Hilary Clinton's one of her campaign managers there. So friends in high places. This is one of her big pushes. Is Planned Parenthood, women's rights. We're not going to let them take this away from us.
And just so we understand some of the players here too, as we've mentioned before, Cecile Richards, who's head of Planned Parenthood, her mother was Ann Richards, the former governor here in Texas, very highly politically connected, very much a part of the established left. And again, this mayor who is in Houston, there have been concerns about impropriety there because of the close association that her lesbian partner has as a PR, the head of PR for Planned Parenthood.
Right. And so, this is just kind of, this whole segment is about skirting the law. There are those, we're just kind of pointing out that there are corporations that are above the law. The laws do not apply for them. If you had offered to buy or sell some fetal tissue on the black market, you'd be in prison. But, now we see it's the people who are actually, it's the shoot the messenger kind of thing. So switching gears here, sort of on the same topic of corporations, we learned with the Trans-Pacific Partnership that they were wanting personhood, so they could be considered as person, have the same rights, yet they don't want to be treated as such. They want to be above the law, and now actually getting elected to where they can write the law to where it benefits them.
Oh, they're openly writing the laws. We just saw that with the driverless cars. We had the Silicon Valley executives come to Obama and say, look, California is going to put some restrictions on us because we've had a lot of accidents there. They're concerned. They want a human as a backup, and the vehicle's mandated. Make this go away.
Right.
We want you to enact laws at a national level that will shut down any concerns about safety at the state level. And oh, by the way, we'd like a subsidy as well. So they go and they openly now are writing the laws just like they did with the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
Right. It's, it must be good to be king. So Disney World, of course, they're a huge corporation. They had an unprecedented no-fly zone over the Magic Kingdom. They said that this was to protect their heavily trafficked park from terrorism.
And the only park in Orlando that has that, because there's a lot of parks in Orlando, but only Disney said you can't.
Country.
Yeah, you can't have a fly zone over us, the only one in the country.
Right, and so they say here in this article, it puts Mickey Mouse on par with the president and Congress, which also have no-fly zones in its airspace. So this is how powerful Disney is. Now they're saying that they want an exception to this no-fly zone they have, so they can fly their own drones over the Magic Kingdom.
And nobody else can fly drones at night. That's an FAA thing. You can't fly, but they want to be able to fly drones at night. They want to be able to be the only ones to fly drones over the Magic Kingdom. And of course, they've been able to get massive subsidies, even for their fireworks displays that they have every night, calling it research into fireworks. So they get massive subsidies from the federal government.
And so you can say, well, here's a company that they're creating a lot of jobs, and we need to make some exceptions for them. Well, now we also know that they are giving away those jobs with American workers who are very capable of doing those jobs, and just another affront to the American people. They're just supposed to be this American icon here. But now we have some lawsuits coming out claiming that Disney colluded to replace U.S. workers with immigrants. They claim the companies broke the law by using temporary H-1B visas to bring in immigrant workers, knowing that Americans would be displaced from their jobs. These people were actually forced to train their replacements as in order to
reported
get
on
their
this, and now it's part of the political dialogue in Iowa. We have a commercial that's being played on the airways there where you have a former Disney employee talking about how they came in, they strong-armed them. They said, if you want any benefits, as severance benefits, you will train your replacements, and we're getting rid of you, and bring in people from India and elsewhere at a fraction of the rate that they were paying them.
And then I also saw this. So the U.S. has hiked the H-1B L-1 visa fee. It's going to hit the Indian IT companies. This is out of the Hindu Times. So you're thinking, oh, well, that's good. They're going to stop them from importing these foreign workers. Well, it'll keep American jobs. It's not about that. The reason why they're doing this is right now, with bringing in these H-1B, H-2B visas, they make $70 and $80 million annually for the U.S. Treasury. Well, with this new decree, they have to submit an additional fee of $4,000 if they want to bring some workers over. This measure is expected to raise between 1.4 and 1.6 billion every year for the next 1 decade.
So it's not going to protect American jobs. It's just going to make more revenue for the federal government.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and so, obviously the Center for Immigration Studies, they find there's no evidence of labor shortage in H-2B occupations, which, this is the tech workers there at H-1B or the accountants and things. But these H-2B occupations, pretty much every job in Florida is an H-2B job. It's all about tourism. It's all seasonal. It's all service. It's all construction. So these are all jobs that are now being given away. And then, here's a breaking news. Foreign guest workers in the U.S. found to earn less than others in the same job. So, of course, that's why they are hiring foreign workers, because they know that they can pay them less. And then this is an Economic Policy Institute, which is a left-leaning think tank. And
That's how they work it.
Yeah, they're saying, imagine that.
Well, we've got Hillary Clinton contest winners coming up in the next segment. There was some breaking news about Hillary today. We had Tom DeLay say what?
Well, the FBI says they're ready to indict Hillary. He says he's got sources on the inside that they're ready to indict. And if the Attorney General doesn't move forward with that, they're going to go public. Well,
I hope that's true. We also had the McLaughlin report, Clarence Page saying that he thought that they would do an indictment, but they would not prosecute. Meanwhile, we see yet another report today that she was having her team cut and paste classified information from server to server, just as she denied to Richard Reeves and everybody else. Complete denial. And that's the way the Clintons deal with this. Now, when we come back, we're going to play a report from Richard Reeves, who is still on site in Iowa and Vermont. And so we're going to have a report coming up from him.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, you can get 6 months free at prisonplanet.tv, but only for 1 more week. Next Monday, the special that only comes around once a year ends. In fact, we've never offered 6 months free before, but I really want to get more people to join and to be able to watch the nightly news, to see the live reports we do, the special reports, all my films, ebooks, and so much more. One person can share their membership with 20 people, and you are funding the absolute very leading edge, the vanguard of the resistance to the globalist operation on every front. We have to have our own platform that is harder for them to censor, harder for the system to shut down. prisonplanet.tv. We put out the daily radio show free with the video and audio feeds at infowars.com/show. But it is the members that get the nightly news exclusively and first, and the commercial-free video podcasts and audio podcasts that are paying it forward and financing and helping so many other people see the truth when we put the videos on Facebook, YouTube, and it's prisonplanet.tv that finances so much of the cameras, the equipment, the crew, the reporters. You are becoming a prisonplanet.tv member. You get exclusive HD, higher quality, get it first, and then you can download it, share it with friends and family, share your passcode with them, your username. It's a win-win, and then you're helping finance to put it out for free to everybody. prisonplanet.tv.
Clean, pure drinking water. You can't survive without it. But where do you get it? Alexa Pure Pro is a brand new, groundbreaking, gravity-fed water filtration system that is like no other. The Alexa Pure Pro transforms water from virtually any fresh source into clean, healthy drinking water. Save $20 off the retail price and get free shipping. This is a limited time offer, so order your unit today and receive free shipping and $20 off. Go to InfoWarsStore.com or call 888-253-3139.
Another week, another admission that Hillary Clinton was messing with classified emails in a way that violates national security in a major way. We see now that Hillary Clinton is facing claims that her team cut and paste classified information from a secure network to her secret server. And of course, this isn't the first time that we've had testimony that she has doctored documents in order to avoid classification restrictions. They say a new report this week says the FBI is looking into whether Hillary Clinton's top aides at State Department may have violated protocol by cutting and pasting top secret information from one computer network to another. The technique would have been used to allow highly secure intelligence to be routed to her private home-based email server, agent said in a report by the New York Post. And of course, the question is, why would somebody like that in that position have a private home-based email server? Of course, she's still saying, I did not have text with that server. Now, we've seen this before, and we've had emails. They quote them in this particular article from the Daily Mail. They say in one email, we've seen Clinton pressure Sullivan to just email, quote unquote, just email it. Classified, cabled remarks by a foreign leader. She said, trust me, I share your exasperation, but until Ops converts it to the unclassified email system, there is no physical way for me to email it, said Sullivan. In another exchange, she instructed him to convert it in a way that would avoid these restrictions. She said, just turn it into non-paper with no identifying heading and send it non-secure. See, this is why, as we pointed out earlier, if the FBI does not indict her, if the Attorney General does not indict her, it is an admission by the state that the entire religion of national security is nonsense. We also see this article that was just put up on Drudge from Don Salazar, Infowars.com. If I die by committing suicide, don't believe it, said one of Bill's former mistresses. She fears that Hillary will have her killed. As the article points out, this is the former Miss Arkansas, Sally Miller, also known as Sally Perdue. Says it's been well established but underreported by American media that Hillary Clinton unleashed her operatives, including Ron Tucker, to threaten her beginning in 1992, reports Jack Dennis for Examiner.com. Soon after she began talking to the press during the first year of Bill Clinton's presidency at a meeting in a restaurant with Tucker, Miller was told to be a, quote, good little girl, and she was offered a federal job. If she didn't accept the offer, quote, then they knew if I went jogging by myself and couldn't guarantee what would happen to my pretty little legs, she reported. Now, we've had this contest where we invited people to ridicule Hillary Clinton because that is one of the most effective ways, according to her mentor, Saul Alinsky, one of the most effective ways to take people down. Well, we've had a lot of effective entries, and we thank everyone who participated in this. That is important, just to participate in this, to get the information out there. So if you're not a winner, we regret that. Everybody cannot be a winner, as Clint Eastwood just pointed out with the Oscars. But we do appreciate what you've done. There is value in what you've done. You should be proud of the fact that you got into the fight. We're going to play for you the winner, as well as the second and third place people who have won prizes here. The winner got $5,000. Let's go ahead and play those contest entries for you.
When I heard about the Make Fun of Hillary contest, I really got excited. Dozens of ideas flooded my consciousness. After all, Hillary is a dumpy, stiff, humorless cartoon figure with a string of outrageous lies and embarrassing gaffes that would have destroyed anyone else. What a juicy target for ridicule and parody. One of the ideas for a Hillary is the Wicked Witch of the West, with the faces of her many evil familiars grafted onto the bodies of the flying monkeys. I always found it interesting that Hillary and Billary seem to surround themselves with physically distorted, angry misanthropes such as Robert Reich, Donna Shalala, James Carville, and Madeleine Albright. The Clintons had apparently tapped into the psychology of physically repulsive people who were angry at the world with a thirst for political power to use as payback against the normals, like the Morlocks feeding on the Eloi in H.G. Wells' Time Machine. Or how about that creepy Star Trek episode where a bitter, rejected girlfriend takes over Captain Kirk's body so that she can be the captain of the Enterprise, like a bitter old Hillary having to use Bill Clinton as a front and beard for her own warped ambition. How about depicting her as the revenge-driven brain that wouldn't die? That old 1950s horror schlock classic about a woman whose scientist fiancé got into an auto accident that killed her body but left her head alive thanks to his scientific acumen. Naturally, being a dismembered head in a dish of blood is a rather unpleasant experience, so the bodiless woman becomes unhinged, using her hate-driven mental powers to control a brainless body that just happens to be laying around the lab to do mayhem. I thought this the perfect metaphor for her domineering relationship with the philandering, distracted Bill Clinton as she acted as shadow president. I began to craft a video for the contest, but something kept me from exploiting the idea of a funny Hillary. Alex, you have used comedy very effectively to cut pompous leftists down to size, but Hillary is something quite different. Can we really afford to laugh at the woman who started out her career as a crooked intern during the Watergate scandal, a senior citizen robbing crooked shyster in Whitewater, the woman who presided over the massive Clinton body count in Arkansas, the theft of the FBI files that adversely influenced politics for decades, not to mention the kidnapping of Elian Gonzalez, the bombing of the Serbs, the destruction of the Middle East and the Benghazi compound? Imagine using a charitable organization to pass government secrets and favors and in the process steal millions. This avaricious woman may just be the most despicable and dangerous figure in modern times. As a friend would say, she is a toxic bitch. Sorry, Alex, even at the risk of blowing 5Gs, the thought of this creature with her finger on the nuclear button as the evidence mounts that she quarterbacked the burning of the Waco church leaves me laughing until I cry.
We came, we saw, he died.
I represented New York on 9/11. We were attacked in downtown Manhattan where Wall Street is.
It makes perfect sense, right? She was a senator when 9/11 happened, so that's why Wall Street gives her the money. How could anyone possibly think she would owe the banks anything for that? It's like they don't understand how the real world works. They just give her money because 9/11, duh. I don't know why the retarded Republicans won't stop whining about this stupid email scandal. Who cares if Hillary illegally set up a private server in her home and used a separate secret email account for official government business and then wiped the servers clean after being subpoenaed by the Justice Department to turn over the emails?
I have no idea. That's why we turned it over.
You were in charge of it. You were the official in charge. Did you wipe the server?
What, like with a cloth or something? No. Well, no.
How it works digitally? Did you try
I don't know how it works digitally at all.
Just because she's like super famous doesn't mean she doesn't deserve privacy. Have a little trust, people. It's not like she has anything to hide. She was the best Secretary of State like ever. She traveled to like thousands of different countries and made the world a much better and safer place. She had radical jihadis take out Gaddafi, the king of Libya, you know, the guy with the botched plastic surgeries. It was on her watch that he was dragged in the streets, raped, and murdered. She even took credit for it on TV.
We came, we saw, he died.
Morning to the queen, how has life been? I got a couple questions and I hope it don't offend. See, I've been kinda broken, I've been trying to figure how I can make $100,000 betting on some cows. Or maybe you can find someone, I just need a job. Put me in the White House, transportation Bob. Could be my new title, Billy Dollar, never mind. Just falsify some documents no one will ever find. Anything else, people never pay attention. And even if they do, you just throw them in detention. Fuck them, I don't care, we can make them disappear. Dead people don't talk, but some false are very clear. Example of what happened when you go against their majesty. They just tend to kill themselves, what a tragedy. I can handle chalk lines if it gets mine. Kill a friend or a colleague, no crime. Yeah, we must bow to our queen. She give us power to dream. We can't survive without her, it hurt. Oh my word, we must kneel and don't say nothing at all, it's okay. She knows what is the best way, okay? Well, okay.
Again, thank you for everyone who participated. Great job. And that's it for tonight's Nightly News. Join us again tomorrow at 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Knockout is back. If you want a product that has 10 known ingredients that naturally get your body to relax, your brain to relax, so you get deep, restful sleep, Knockout's it. InfoWarsLife.com. L-theanine, hops flower extract, lemon balm extract, valerian root extract, chamomile flower extract, L-tryptophan extract, melatonin, and more. All organic, all the natural sources. It's the same price as leading brands of melatonin that are 3 milligrams apiece. It has 3 milligrams, the standard recommended dose for an adult. It's got the GABA, so it would probably cost $50 to take all this as separate pills. It's $19.95. You take 1 or 2 of these, And it just is really clean, restful sleep is what the reviews are. It's what I've experienced. And it just synergistically puts everything in there. InfoWarsLife.com. That's InfoWarsLife.com. Or call 888-253-3139.
You are watching the InfoWars Nightly News, which airs 7 p.m. Central at InfoWarsNews.com. And your support is helping us defend liberty worldwide.